Back live right now to those pictures coming out of MIA. You're looking at live pictures of the widow of LaDavid Johnson, Aisha Johnson, on the tarmac. They're awaiting her husband's body to come in on that tarmac. Again, the president just speaking with her by phone, Lori and Calvin, a little while ago from here at the White House. We understand that the two spoke for some 5 minutes. We're waiting for word from the president right now to see whether he will be attending that funeral down there in South Florida coming up on Saturday. As soon as we get that information, we'll get it right out to you. For now, though, that's the very latest live from the White House.
And Ross, we are just looking at such emotional images. The family is trying to stay strong, but very, very difficult to see this. And his widow, very pregnant. They are expecting their third child in January. They're out on this hot tarmac, and just the tears are flowing at this point. The family did attend also, Ross, a remains ceremony when Johnson's body arrived at the Dover Air Force Base, correct?
Yes, that is correct. And I also want to point out that Senator Bill Nelson, also from Florida, did speak with Aisha earlier today, and he was commenting on just how heart-wrenching it is that she's pregnant, that her husband will not be there for the birth of their next child. He actually, when he was in the military himself, was one of the officers that had to go to the house of family members when they lost someone. So he has been through this before. He knows how excruciating it is to face these family members. And he said today that his conversation with the widow was no less easy. The president himself referring to how difficult these moments are when he made those controversial comments, bringing the other presidents into it, politicizing all of this. But all can agree, difficult moments to contact the family members, especially we heard those sentiments coming from Senator Bill Nelson, just how horrible it is that she's about to give birth.
That's right.
And now she's there on the tarmac awaiting the return of her husband's body.
And Ross, speaking of the tarmac, we have our Glenna Milberg, who is just feet away from the family of David Johnson. And Glenna, just kind of walk us through what's going to happen out here in terms of the ceremony as we await the flag-draped casket of David Johnson. Glenna, are you there?
Apologies. Yes, I'm sorry. It is so loud out here because a jumbo jet just arrived on the tarmac. I want to step aside. It is landed. Sergeant LaDavid Johnson's remains are here. And I want to just step aside because it is simply a heart-wrenching sight for his family assembled here on the tarmac to witness the casket. Is in what you're looking at right now is a white cargo container of sorts, a special cargo container by the airlines for exactly this kind of ceremony. And within that container is the coffin and the remains with a flag, an American flag, draped over the casket of Special Forces Sergeant Green Beret LaDavid Johnson, 25 years old, who was killed in Niger October 4th, along with a group of people. As we look at this process right now, I want to just, for anyone who has not been clear on the details, the actual ambush that Sergeant Johnson and 5 others, 3 of them American soldiers, 6 in all, died in this ambush in Niger on October 4th. They were on a training and reconnaissance mission with the U.S. military and Nigerian forces, friendly forces. They were there, as they had been several other times before, when they were surprised by a very violent ambush where 6 of the team of 12 who were there were killed. Right now, today, the Department of Defense has just launched a preliminary investigation into the details of that attack. Sergeant Johnson was missing for 48 hours after that attack, and that will be part of the investigation, how he became separated from the crew. Today, though, at this moment, a solemn, heartbreaking ceremony as the remains of a fallen hero, an American soldier, returns to home. South Florida is home for Sergeant Johnson. He is a native of Miami Gardens. His casket you see now is in full view. The surrounding container has been taken away, and they are preparing to take his remains off the Delta flight. This is a commercial flight. On board this flight, I'm not sure if you can see in the windows of this flight, are the passengers aboard. They do know what's going on. They have been notified that there is a fallen American soldier whose remains are being taken back to his family. They are asked to wait on board. They will not be deplaning until the ceremony is finished. You see one of the women in the window with a couple of other people, a couple of passengers, all of whom are holding up iPhones and cameras to record this incredible ceremony. Can we, if we can, take a shot on the tarmac where in chairs Sergeant Johnson's family has assembled. His wife is really trying to maintain composure. It has been very difficult. She has with her their 2 children. She is pregnant with their 3rd. She is being comforted right now by Sergeant Johnson's uncle. Right next to Mrs. Johnson is Sergeant Johnson's aunt, the man in the leather cap behind her, his uncle. His aunt essentially raised LaDavid Johnson as her own son. Also assembled here, among other family members, Miami Gardens Police Chief Delma Pratt. There is Congresswoman Frederica Wilson is here. She, as you may know, is one of the founders, very involved with an organization called 5,000 Role Models. Sergeant LaDavid Johnson was one of those role models, and I suppose I can say he will remain forever a role model. That organization has established in his name a scholarship in just the past couple of days. Barbara Jordan is a Miami-Dade County Commissioner who is also here. She is the commissioner whose district is Miami Gardens. She has been with the family, as has Congresswoman Wilson. I will say, while we are looking at the solemn assemblage of military and police from Miami-Dade and Miami Gardens, the investigation into what happened in Niger almost 2 weeks ago has right now taken center stage. After 2 weeks, there are so many details yet to learn. And today, Congresswoman Wilson, along with Congressman Alcee Hastings, wrote a letter to the Department of Defense asking a litany of questions, details about how Sergeant Johnson became separated from the team, how the military could not have been more prepared for the possibility of an ambush and an assault. What were the details of the discovery of Sergeant Johnson 48 hours after that attack? Did he fall into enemy hands? These are all questions that have been requested and will now be part of this Department of Defense investigation into what happened. Niger is essentially friendly territory, and this was not a combat mission. Laura?